Team, so we're going to talk about starvation mode, which is the proposed theory that the less you eat, the more predisposed you are to gaining fat. Okay, so if you just repeat that to yourself and really just take some calm and internal peace, you'll realize that it's almost nonsensical to think that. And you can use a lot of what I would consider untactful analogies. You can say, well, if that were true, Africa would be the fattest nation in the world, or underdeveloped countries would be, very obese. So there's just not really much physiological truth to that whatsoever. But let's kind of dive into that, not lead it at that. Let's find out why under eating may actually encourage you or me to gain fat. So let's kind of dissect it. So what happens when we restrict calories? So when we restrict calories, does our total daily energy expenditure go down? Absolutely. Well, let's look at the metabolic adaptations to restricting calories. We become large mass people, and then we become smaller mass people. Okay, so your resting metabolic rate will go down as you lose 10, 15 pounds and so on and so forth. The second thing that will go down is your thermogenic effect of food. That's just obvious. You're eating less food, so your body doesn't have to work as hard to digest food. That's really minuscule, but it will go down a tiny bit. Then your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So if I am 200 pounds and now I weigh 190, I'm burning way less in my day-to-day activity. That's 10 pounds less per step. If I take 10,000 steps a day, which I do, that's 100,000 steps or weight less that my body is carting around per step. That is very, very meaningful. And that's just a natural, again, it makes perfect sense. That's just a natural way of life. As we lose fat, we don't need as much fuel. Small cars need less fuel than large cars. We get that. All right, so let's kind of look into some other metabolic adaptations that are going to explore a little bit more the psychology. So there is a famous study done, I know it was early 40s, 50s maybe, the Minnesota study. And this kind of proves the point. They put these people on 50% there were 36 men, and they ate 50% of the calories that they needed in a day. And it was all done in metabolic chambers, so it was a very controlled experiment. And they got extremely lean. You'll see the pictures here. But what they found were the psychological ramifications of getting that lean. And this is where a lot of people who will misinterpret things or interpret things and apply it to themselves when it's not their world. Because when you get excessively lean, like the people did in this study, there were actually conscientious objectors to this study, and you saw the photos of how lean these subjects got. But in certain sports, people get extremely lean. That's when your body literally thinks that it's dying, and there are additional metabolic adaptations that are going to occur. Your hunger hormones are going to be affected. Your testosterone is going to decline. Like, these men had zero interest in sex. And what they also found is these men in these studies completely psychologically were broken when it came to food. Some would drink vats of coffee. Others would chew their food and mix potatoes and everything with a bunch of water so it looked fuller, so it looked like more food. And again, these are nearly starved men at this point. Okay, so these are not overweight men at this point. But the leaner they got, the more the restriction just completely shut them down psychologically. And you'll see that when they resumed normal eating, because of that scarcity mindset that they had with food, they gained their weight back plus some. Now, they didn't gain their weight back plus some because they were metabolically damaged necessarily. They just were literally, some of them were 130, 140 pounds for a taller male. Their body wanted nothing more than to get back to a normal body weight. And it was, I wouldn't say uncontrollable eating. They had a choice to pick up the fork or not. But again, if you're ever in like that severe scarcity mindset with those hormones acting against you, it is extremely easy to overeat. Now, again, that is an extremely lean and underweight subject. So in the normal weight subject, the normal healthy individual is severe caloric restriction going to create any type of metabolic damage effect or put you in starvation mode. No, absolutely not. But nothing typically good happens out of severe restriction. The men in the study, they obsessed about food. They talked about food. They coddled food like a baby. And if you've ever been there, it's a real deal. So anytime that you're restricting and saying, I'm not going to eat this, I'm not going to eat that, I'm not going to eat this, you kind of are setting yourself up in that scarcity mindset zone to go and then overeat. And that's what a lot of people who believe in starvation mode do. They will undereat severely during the week, and then on the weekends they'll have alcohol or this, that, or the other, and they will grossly overeat to the point where they're backfilling what they underate and putting them in a caloric surplus. That's very, very common. And I theorize that comes from the scarcity that they were living in just 5 days. So picture about living in scarcity for 4 or 5 months. The second you're unleashed on the wide world of food is you're just going to go ham. So hopefully this is understandable for you. And my suggestions would be to not give up foods that you love. Learn to live in harmony with them. Learn to work them in your plan. But as far as starvation mode goes, no, that is an absolute myth. But again, with that said, some of the psychological ramifications to severe long-term caloric restriction are real and not something that I would wish upon anyone, really. I just don't feel that that's a healthy way to live, or you're in harmony really with anything when you're severely calorically restricting to that point. All right, excellent. If this was helpful for you, please share this with someone that needs to hear this. Someone that this could be a blessing to, and you have a great day.